In this demo, we're going to show you how Celonis can put AI to work in your operations across the organization to drive better business outcomes. We'll cover how easy it is to connect to your source systems and automatically make your data ready to use. Then, we'll show you how Celonis can empower analysts to automatically identify root causes of process friction. Next, we'll show how Celonis can intelligently and automatically enhance processes while alerting your KYC analysts when a decision involves manual input. Lastly, we'll show how to track results over time so that your KYC management can understand the progress and success of improvement initiatives. When you engage with Celonis, the first thing is to connect to source systems. While admittedly not the most flashy piece of the product, it's important to see how easy it is for an analyst or a data engineer to get Celonis up and running. Other enterprise tools like BI take 4 to 6 months on average to implement, according to Gartner. Celonis delivers value in 3 months or less on average and is able to enhance performance based on analyses. We can do this because of our App Store, which provides pre-built connectors for 80+ processes across 35+ source systems such as SAP, Oracle, or Microsoft. This drastically reduces time to value and subject matter expertise necessary to get started. And for those homegrown systems that many financial services organizations like yourself have created, we can still increase time to value using our enterprise-grade APIs. In fact, these account for 30% of our implementations. In addition to the data connectors, the App Store also contains 375+ pre-built analytical apps, 85+ pre-configured enhancement actions, and 25+ greater business objectives with KPIs to help deliver value as quickly as possible. So we just saw that an analyst or a data engineer could easily download apps that take care of data connection, extraction, and transformation while providing useful analyses out of the box. While analyzing our KYC process today, we will find opportunities to reduce the case processing time and learn how we can manage more cases with our current resources through smart workload distribution. Based on our findings, we'll be able to implement measures and monitor these with Celonis on an analyst, team lead, or KYC manager level, empowering the entire department to be part of the day-to-day solution. Let's pretend I am the KYC process manager looking to optimize the performance of my KYC process in terms of SLA adherence, compliance, and efficiency. Here, Celonis directly presents the most important KPIs based on our strategic goals. This gives me an overview of our progress so I can easily keep tabs on how we're doing, quickly drill down into any issues, and use this to inform my optimization strategy. Today, my attention is being drawn to the SLA adherence KPIs. With the case processing time at 32 days, well above the industry standard of 25 days, cases have been piling up. This has led to 5,000 cases being in the backlog, needing to be processed at the same time. A slow and overburdened KYC process can have serious consequences. For example, slowing down the entire banking onboarding process, leading to a lower conversion rate. But just as concerning is that regulation dictates certain due dates for the case reviews, which have to be met to avoid penalties and fines. So next up, we're going to start by putting on our business analyst hat to figure out what friction points are causing the SLA adherence KPIs to underperform and what we can do about them. In Celonis, we can easily see our process, exactly as it is occurring in our IT systems, and identify areas that we should improve. Here, we see our end-to-end Know Your Customer process. The different colors indicate the essential parts of our KYC process. The most common variant we can see here. After the case has been entered in the system, information is requested from the customer to validate his or her identity, which is then checked in the Customer Identification Program. After that, the customer risk of engaging in unlawful activity is classified, followed by the customer due diligence, performing enhanced or simplified reviews based on the customer risk. Finally, if the case passes the 4i review, it is signed off and the KYC check is completed. This most common process flow already takes 30 days, which is still significantly above our target of 25 days. When inspecting this most common process on the processing time between activities, we can already see a bottleneck at the very beginning of our process. It takes, on average, 10 days to even start with the outreach after the case has entered our system. This is a sign that the case is just not assigned to a KYC analyst and instead is left untouched for those days, which leads to delays for the entire process. This unassigned time therefore seems to have a substantial effect on our case processing time. But this is only the most common sequence of activities that our KYC case follows, only covering 22% of the cases we have in our system. Looking at the next most common variant, we can see that in 15% of the cases, the customer identification program actually fails and the outreach to the customer is repeated. This type of fail and rework are often, especially in this frequency, signs of having received incomplete information from the customer in the first outreach. So obvious work we'd like to avoid in the future. When expanding our analysis even further, we identify another inefficiency in case reassignments. As these reassignments happen more than once for one case, this indicates more of an inefficiency than a necessity, as cases are just changing analysts without being processed any further. Let us now focus on the most relevant friction point that is hindering us from achieving our SLAs, the high unassigned time. In this analysis, we will identify especially affected cases. For this, we'll be looking at two dimensions, review types and assigned risk rating. Let's start with review types. Cases are treated differently if they are for new customers, periodic reviews of customers, or event-driven checks, and this difference also affects their processing. Hence, the unassigned times for each type is different, and event-driven cases seem to be unassigned for a longer time. One possible explanation could be that event-driven reviews cannot be planned for, and therefore are noticed and assigned later. Let's further inspect the event-driven cases. The risk level of a case is also an indicator of its importance, as this indicates an earlier due date. As the risk level isn't known before the risk analysis, this risk level is either estimated for new cases, left as unassigned, or taken from previous checks for that customer. By changing our drill down to the risk levels, we can now see that event-driven cases are often high-risk cases, really bringing home the importance of reducing the high unassigned time. So we started by noticing that we had a bottleneck at the start of our process with unassigned cases, and with only 2 clicks have found that event-driven high-risk cases are especially endangered. And now that we have identified this inefficiency, we can act on it. Using these insights, Celonis provides an intelligent trigger that monitors all open cases for this pattern, recommends next best actions, and directly automates where possible to enhance our process. In Celonis, we call this a skill, a component that senses friction and executes actions to resolve that friction. It's like having the ability to know when something important is going wrong in your process and immediately resolve it in the most optimal way. Isn't that a skill we'd all like to master? In this skill, Celonis is monitoring cases being entered in the system and assigns analysts with the most available resources. We decide how to resolve the friction based on the risk level assigned. For mid and low level risk cases, we assign it to the analyst and then notify them by email. For high risk cases, we additionally notify the team lead of the assignment. In the App Store, we offer a comprehensive library of pre-built skills. And if we don't have what you're looking for, new skills can be configured with just a few clicks. This one measure to improve the case processing time can naturally only address one issue, which is why we're going to take a more in-depth look at the cases in the backlog. We'll be identifying potential to reduce the backlog by finding root causes of the case buildups and through efficient resource management. In the second use case of Celonis, we are looking at the 5,000 open cases still being processed at the moment we're hoping to complete sooner rather than later. To better understand how we can decrease the backlog volume, we also need to know how many cases per month we can remove. And even when considering a 10% improvement potential, we would only be processing about 1,100 cases per month, only a little more than a fifth of our current backlog. The most expensive solution to this dilemma would be using many more resources and hiring more KYC analysts, but even then, all inefficiencies in the current process would still impact the business greatly. So the more cost-effective solution is to identify root causes of inefficiencies and resolve them. When starting our root cause search by drilling down on the analyst teams, we notice that Team 4 has a disproportionately high number of cases in the backlog. This is a first indicator that Team 4 either has a higher burden than other teams, or the process efficiency for Team 4 is lower. So let us take a closer look at Team 4. When only looking at the analysts of Team 4, all have more open cases than the overall average indicated by the red color. But also the team workload is not evenly distributed amongst the analysts. To identify the root cause for this unbalanced workload, we'll take a look at customer residencies, as each team is in charge of multiple countries. What we then identify is that Bulgaria cases are the main contributor to the backlog case numbers. So, the analysts mainly responsible for Bulgaria are clearly overburdened, leading in part to the growing backlog cases. For our KYC analysts, or team leads, it can be really difficult to make sure that all cases are appropriately handled and all analysts have the same amount of workload due to the large volume and high complexity of the KYC process. Next, let's see how Celonis can help analysts prioritize effectively and guide team leads to maximize their goals, for example, increasing SLA adherence. In Action Engine, each user has an inbox of key action items that need to be addressed across their responsibilities. Let's start by looking at tasks assigned to Emma, a KYC analyst, and what her inbox would look like. Here we see tasks relevant for the cases she is assigned to. For example, in the task Case Ready for Outreach, Emma has all the information she needs to initiate the outreach to the customer. With the click of a button, she can either jump into the KYC system, or she can directly send a pre-filled template to the customer, which is automatically recorded in the source system. With Action Engine, Emma is informed of cases to be prioritized and can immediately take action to work her cases more efficiently. Let us now switch to the inbox of John, a KYC team lead. He receives different signals which focus on topics relevant on a team level. For example, the task Detected Unbalanced Team Workload. When Celonis detects that some analysts of John's team are significantly overburdened in comparison to others, it notifies John and offers him the opportunity to notify the analysts especially overburdened and those with extra capacity, informing them that they should transfer some cases. Or, with a click of a button, he can initiate the optimized reassignment suggested by Celonis, saving time for the team. Ultimately, the Action Engine allows us to intelligently leverage the power of automation by integrating with human action when needed. Therefore, after discovering friction points in our process, Celonis can be part of the solution by enhancing the process through skills and automation. Switching gears one last time, I am now in the shoes of the KYC top management. I want to keep myself updated with our current progress on our goals without having to start a deep dive analysis. In the Transformation Center, I am subscribed to KPIs like case processing time, and I get a weekly email that summarizes our progress relative to our goals. If I click into our case processing time, we can see that it has decreased substantially since we implemented our skills with Celonis. Now we see how we are able to use Celonis to optimize our operations toward better SLA adherence. We are able to sense friction and root causes that negatively impact the case processing time, implement actions and automations that specifically address these challenges, and monitor the results.